What's good in the YouTube hood? It's your girl Luna Nova, and I am back with another video for you all. For all of my haunted hotties out there, you guys were requesting for some more folklore videos, and I'm back with another compilation. Because it was so highly requested, as I stated before, I'm gonna keep pushing out these videos because y'all seem to enjoy them. So if you do, let me know down in the comments. And if you're already over here and you're not subscribed, what are you doing? We're supposed to be locked in, bestie. Hit that notification bell. Now, I know in my last video, we went over American folklore. So today we are going to be going over Caribbean folklore. So shout out to all of my Caribbean subscribers. Growing up Dominican and diving deeper into my heritage and my roots, I definitely went down the folklore rabbit hole with all of the lugawos and vampires and shapeshifters and a whole bunch of other things that I just was not made privy to until a few years ago. And it's been an experience learning about these things and hearing the different stories from my cousins and Theas and Theos about different things that they experienced as children in the Caribbean, specifically in the DR. But again, this is not specifically about the DR. We're gonna go over a compilation of different Caribbean folklore creatures. Let's get into it. Now, one of the oldest Caribbean folklore creatures that has been seen across many cultures and continents is going to be sirens or mermaids. Now, I know what you guys think. Oh, we've all heard about those, but have you? Have you truly heard and seen the true depiction of what a mermaid or a siren looks like? A lot of people think that it's the cute little character from the Little Mermaid, and that could not be further from the truth. The only thing they probably got right was the fact that they have very pale skin and fiery red hair. Not all of them had red hair, but a lot of them do. But this next creator is going to explain a story that goes back in her family in regards to sirens.
Tonight's spooky shadow story comes from the deepest depths of the ocean. Tonight, we're talking about mermaids. My first adult experience with anything related to mermaids started in Haiti. During one of my trips to Haiti, a group of my friends and I were on the beach hanging out late at night, and we ended up just splashing our feet by the edge of the water. Two of the natives came by and yelled at us to get away from the water. We were drunk, but the fear on that man's face let me know that I needed to sober up really quickly. He begins to explain to me that during that time of night, it's not uncommon for the water levels to drop significantly and you can't see where the drop-off point is. But he also begins to explain that you might just find yourself in the middle of the ocean with a mermaid. Many of us were taught to believe that mermaids look like this, and they probably look more like this. Mermaids, or la sirène in Haitian folklore, are notorious dark beings. They are not only extremely powerful, but they are extremely dangerous. Most of what I've heard about mermaids in Haiti is that they're pretty notorious for kidnapping. They will take you down into the ocean and turn you into a slave. It's very difficult for you to come back up to land, but sometimes when people do come back up to land, they're either mute or it's been found that they have these esoteric wisdoms and knowledge that no one can explain and they didn't have it before. It's even been seen that some of these people that come back up to the land will have an ability to speak multiple languages or play an instrument, something just otherworldly that they would not have been able to do. It's also been said that if you want to go into the ocean, don't wear anything shiny because it could attract them. They've also been accused of being able to transform into different people, like beautiful women that can lure you away from your boats. You ever heard of the siren's call? Yeah, mermaids are responsible for that. But these are just stories. Or are they? Have you ever encountered anything unexplainable in the water? Share your mermaid stories in the comments and let's uncover the truth together.
Now, as I stated in previous videos, I'm your spiritual god sister. I'm going to put you on game, all right? I'm not just going to tell you to stay away from these things and stay away from certain areas without educating you first. Now, this next folklore character is something that I learned from Trini culture. So shout out to all of my Trinidadian followers. Hello, hello. If you are from the Caribbean or specifically from Trinidad, I'm sure that you have heard of a Soucouyant. Now, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, please, again, I am not above criticism. Please correct your girl if I am wrong, all right? I do my best to pronounce these. I do have a little bit of an accent, all right? I know I'm from the north, but I am still from the country part of the north. I am still a little bit country, even though I am from the north, okay? Certain words I'm going to jack up, so please, if I butcher it, just politely correct me in the comments. This next folklore character that we're going to get into is called a Soucouyant. And a Soucouyant apparently is an old woman by day, but a shapeshifter by night.
In Trinidad and Tobago, the Soucouyant is a legendary creature that is said to originate from West Africa. The Soucouyant has played a significant role in Caribbean culture for centuries. Soucouyant is derived from the French Creole word soucouyant, which means man-eating sorcerer. The Soucouyant is usually depicted as an older woman who can shed her skin and transform it into a ball of fire. She roams the night, seeking out sleeping victims to suck their blood, leaving a distinctive blue mark. The locals say the Soucouyant is cunning. She targets babies and young children in particular. She enters homes unnoticed, leaving her victims drained, yet none the wiser of her visit. But fear not, for every creature has its weakness. Alternatively, you can sprinkle rice around your door, forcing the Soucouyant to pick up each grain individually, allowing you to dispose of her. In some parts of the Caribbean, the Soucouyant is believed to have been used when scientific knowledge was limited to explain mysterious deaths, especially those of babies. The legend of the Soucouyant has also been used as a cautionary tale to warn children against staying up too late at night or wandering outside alone after dark. The legend has also played a significant role in Caribbean culture, inspiring programs to preserve traditional folk customs and encouraging further exploration of the relationship between gender and folklore.
Now, as I stated before, we are going to be going over several Caribbean folklore creatures, and one that a lot of people know outside of sirens and mermaids would be a lugawo, aka a shapeshifter. Now, these shapeshifters shapeshift into many different forms and things. They can shapeshift into animals, they can shapeshift into other creatures. It gets wild. But again, the specific one that we're going to go over in this next video is called a lugawo. Now, I know a lot of these videos are going to be creators and based around Haitian folklore. I don't know what it is about Haiti. All of my Haitian followers and subscribers, comment down below. Please give some testimony, give some backup to this, because there are so many stories from Haiti and Haitian creators that talk about, again, shapeshifters, lugawos, all these different creatures and characters. I don't know what's going on in the island of Haiti and the DR, but the folklore runs deep. Now, what would you do if you were a Haitian kid and you were doing your regular chores and going to fetch water? Because in some parts of Haiti, it's still like that. You have to go and catch fresh water for you to cook, bathe, etc. All right? That is still a thing that they have to do. So just imagine that you are doing your daily chores, your regular routine, going to fetch water with family members, and all of a sudden, you see a walking broom. You heard me correctly. A walking broom right in front of you. But as the broom stops and starts to shapeshift, you see a very familiar face that you know as Thea. What would you do?
So you know how I be telling y'all to stop messing with things that y'all don't know about? Scary story time.
Hi, it's me again. I got another one. So if you're into stories about shapeshifters and lugaus, this is the story time for you. Now this story is brought to you by my aunt who lives in Haiti, and this is actually her story from childhood. I cannot make this shit up. So according to my aunt, my dad, her, and her brother grew up in this house called La Coucaille, which means the house/yard of demons. Now, through these voice notes, I just found out I actually had some lugaus in the family. In Haiti, depending on where you live, you would have to physically leave your house, bring a container, go to a place where there's fresh water, collect water so you can go back home. So that day, my dad, my aunt, my uncle, with my grandfather were going to get water. So this person that was walking behind them her name is Vaughn. That was my grandmother's cousin. There were always rumors that Vaughn was a lugau, but my aunt never really saw her do anything suspicious, so until... Now again, I know this is really gonna sound unbelievable and schizo. Now, bear with me. This is their aunt. They used to go fetch water together, so why would they have to believe that she's a luga? Until one day. So all the kids are playing outside in La Coucaille. Basically, they look over and they see a walking broom. Now, this is really freaky because brooms don't walk. So they're all watching the broom, extremely confused, watching the broom advance towards them, and the broom suddenly starts to morph and shapeshift into Vaughn, their aunt, with a package on her head and everything. Now, this is really creepy because she's still alive, says my aunt. This is not like this is the dead visiting. This is a walking human. Remember how I said earlier that they were all going to go fetch water? It was my aunt, my dad, my uncle, and my grandfather. And behind them was Vaughn. Apparently, only my aunt and my uncle were able to see Vaughn behind them. My grandfather did not see her when he turned around, and neither did my dad. Creepy, right?
I'm sorry, I would have had to confront my aunt. You got some explaining to do, because what the hell was that? And why did I just see you shift from an inanimate object to a person? The math ain't math and something ain't adding up. Now, this next creator is getting ready to get into a Haitian folklore story that I've never heard of before. I literally just found it and decided to throw it into this video because I thought it was interesting. And if I had never heard of it, I'm pretty sure maybe you guys haven't heard of it. Apparently, it's not a popular folklore story, and it is called The Singing Bone. Now, this is a very interesting story. I definitely feel like it's something that a lot of Haitian and Caribbean folks use to try to keep their kids inside. You know, one of those spooky stories that you tell to your kids to make them stay their ass inside after them streetlights go on. But again, I thought it was interesting and I wanted to throw it into this video. So here we go with The Singing Bone.
We know all sorts of mythology and folklore, but do you know your Haitian folklore? I do, and I'm going to share one with you today. We're starting off this series kind of grim. So today's lesson, the singing bone. So deep in the woods of Haiti, there was this man, we're going to call him Bob. He had a son called Jacob. Now, Bob had a hard time with women, right? So his first wife, Jacob's mother, died, and then he went out on the scene looking for a woman. He found a new woman. We're going to call her Margaret. She doesn't stay long. They got together and had a second child. We're going to name him Mario. So we have Bob, Jacob, and Mario. Margaret dies. Away with her. So now we have Bob and his two sons, the older Jacob, the youngest Mario, and Bob is still looking for a woman. It's traditional that in Haiti that the men go out to work and the women usually take care of the domestic household. So he's looking for a wife. So one day he goes and finds this really mean and ugly lady. We're going to call her Chantal. I got beef with one of my people named Chantal. She kind of traumatized me as a kid, so we going to call her Chantal. Reparations, homie. But anyway, Chantal may have been bitter and mean, but she was a wonderful wife. She cooked, she cleaned, and did everything for Bob, and she took care of Jacob and Mario, though she did not like them really. So one day Bob goes to work, and Chantal, being the devious and mean lady that she is, looks up to the two sons, and she calls them to the kitchen. So they come. So Chantal goes, "Hey boys, I need both of you to go out and look for sticks for us to start getting the food ready. Whoever brings me the biggest stick will have an extra piece of meat on their plate, and everybody likes meat." So both Jacob and Mario got their sapats ready to go out and get some stick. Jacob ended up leaving first because he's the oldest, he know what he's doing. But before Mario could get out the door, Chantal grabbed him, just like that, snatched. Chantal ends up unaliving Mario, cutting him to pieces, oh my goodness, and basically cooking him for the family. When Jacob returns, he doesn't see Mario. He assumes that Mario's getting more stick. At the end of the day, Bob returns and Chantal gives Bob his food, which includes Mario. Bob eats all the food. Delicious, right? And then he ends up leaving a bone, just the last piece of bone, a big chunk of bone, and he throws it under a tree. Now, Jacob is like, okay, Mario's missing. We haven't seen Mario, and the whole family's kind of worried. Chantal's worried too. And as Jacob goes out to find Mario, he goes next to this bone, right? The bone that the father left out, and the bone starts singing to him. And the song basically goes, "Oh brother, my brother, please help me. My stepmother cooked me, my father ate me, and now I'm left to rot under this tree." Now, Jacob, you know, he's mentally stable, so he's like, I'm not tripping. So this bone is singing to me. What's going on? He goes closer to the bone, and the bone sings again. Same thing verbatim. "Oh brother, my brother, help me. My stepmother cooked me, my father ate me, and now I'm left to rot under this tree." Jacob immediately peeps what's going on, because again, that man got a brain on him. So he runs to the father and he says, "We have an emergency. I think your wife, Chantal, cooked your son." And the father's like, part two. Now, where were we? Right. So Jacob runs to his father and says, "Hey, I think your wife ate my brother." And the father's like, "No way, absolutely not. Chantal is not the best woman out there, but she's not crazy, is she?" So Jacob does what's the only thing he could do, and he takes the father to the bone. When he takes the father to the bone sings. "Brother, oh brother, help me. My stepmother cooked me, my father ate me, now I'm left to rot under this tree." And the father, man, oh my God, a singing bone. I can take this to the king and he's gonna pay us a lot of money to sell him this bone. Anyway, Jacob's completely against it, and Jacob hasn't eaten his food, so he's like, I'm not touching the food now that I know the food is basically my brother. But Bob doesn't care, so Bob snatches his wife, Chantal, and Jacob and takes their bone, Mario, to the king. So they get to the king, and Bob is like, "Dear king, I have a bet for you." King's like, "What's up?" Bob says, "I bet you I can show you a singing bone." King accepts the bet. King says, "Show me the bone." Bob takes out the bone, Chantal and Jacob watching, and Bob's like, "Sing." The bone knows what's going on. The bone is like, "I'm not finna sing," so the bone doesn't sing. The king looks at the bone. King looks at Bob. Bob looks at King. Bone looks at Mario. Oh wait, bone is Mario. But anyway, the king's like, are you playing with me? And Bob says, no, no, no. And Bob pushes Jacob to the bone, to which the bone begins to sing. Oh, brother, my brother, yada, yada, yada. You heard it already. Now, the king is not a loser like Bob. So the king's like, he already peeped what's going on. So he says, okay, no problem. Just give me a sec. He calls up to his servants and he tells them, hey, go get me the largest cooking pot we have and turn it on right here. The servants do as followed. There's a boiling cooking pot right next to them. The king says, Bone, sing. Bone doesn't sing again, but when Jacob says, Bone, please sing, the bone sings again. And as the bone begins to sing, the king begins to really listen to what the bone is saying, and then he looks at Chantal, and Chantal is melting. She's melting. No, really, she's melting. And the king's like, oh my goodness, I know what's going on. This woman cooked your child. And as if the cannibalism ended here, no, the king orders his servant to grab the melting, bitter old lady and throw her into the pot. Now stay with me. Now, using the melted woman's fat from the boiling pot, the king pours it out onto the bone and the bone regrows as Mario. And Bob is like, well, I guess I won the bet because the bone sung. And the king's like, no, you did not win the bet. Because you did not bring me a singing bone, you brought me a singing son. I gave you back your son, so you should be happy that I did so. Once you have a fruit, you must care for the fruit as well as the tree. And Bob, with no money, took his sons Jacob and Mario, and they all went home and lived suspiciously ever after. Because, you know, if it was me, if I was Mario or Jacob, I probably would have put that man in the dirt. I'm not gonna lie, like, come on. But that's folklore number 1, and let me know if you guys want more.
Have you ever heard of Nanny of the Maroon? Nanny of the Maroon apparently is a Haitian folklore character, or what would considered to be a Haitian folklore character that was definitely new to me. I definitely learned something new with this story right here. Let's listen.
Jamaican lore part 3, Nanny of the Maroon. Now, while Nanny was very much a real person, I'm including her in this series because the things that they said she could do can be considered folklore. What kind of things, you may ask? Well, one just off the top of my head is she caught bullets or stopped bullets with her butt. Nanny of the Maroon was actually born in Ghana and brought to Jamaica on slave. Nanny is described by the Maroons and by the British as an outstanding military leader because of how good she was at organizing guerrilla warfare. Her skills played an important role in the first Maroon War between 1720 and 1739. Because she was so smart and had so much influence over her people, they say her powers came from Obia. In 1739, when peace treaties were being signed by the male leaders, she was against it all because she knew that was just another form of subjugation and she wanted her people unconditionally free. The lore says that Nanny had super strength, super speed, super healing. You can see her on the Jamaican $500 bill, and she deserves to be there because she was a bad bitch.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but Nanny sounds like she is an Orisha. I'm gonna do a little more research behind it, but a lot of these Orishas obviously started out as humans first before transitioning over into the spirit realm and becoming an ancestor or an Orisha. But Nanny sounds like an Orisha to me. I don't know which Orisha. I have to do a little more research because there's hundreds of them, not just the main 12 that y'all know, Oshun, Ogun, Ilegua, you know. And of course, there's different names depending on what ATR that you practice. And if you don't know what an ATR is, that is an African traditional religion. Again, Hoodoo would be an African traditional religion that I practice. Nanny sounds like an Orisha for sure. She sounds like she was definitely moving and shaking here in the physical realm before transitioning over. All I know is if I need some help, I might be calling on Nanny. Now, this next Caribbean folklore creature, I have definitely heard it. And as a kid, sometimes my dad will call me it whenever I did not want to go to sleep or me or my siblings decided to fight amongst each other. And that folklore creature is called a Jumbie. Jumbies are known to be very malicious like spirits, aka the D word. I'm not going to say it because, like I said, unless I'm going to tell it to get out, I'm not going to acknowledge it. But I digress. Again, Jumbies are supposed to be very malicious creatures that like to play games, and they're known to be childlike spirits, and that's why a lot of children are called it in comparison. Go to one of your Caribbean aunties and uncles and ask them what a Jumbie is, and I'm pretty sure they're going to tell you it's you. I know you guys have seen my cat. My fur baby is not with me right now, but when I say she likes to run around and have her manic hour and go crazy, I definitely refer to her as a Jumbie. And I tell her she needs to sit down somewhere. Let's get into this next creator who's going to talk about Jumbies.
If you grew up in the Caribbean, you grew up around a lot of folklore, myths, and legends. Today I'm going to be talking about the negative perception of Jumbies. Please understand that we've all heard different things, we've all researched different things, so if you have something different than what I'm saying, drop it in the comments so we can all learn from each other. Alright, so I've heard that Jumbies are going to be demons. They are entities that can shapeshift, so they can possess humans, they can possess animals. Jumbies are going to be very mischievous spirits, so they're going to be the ones that flicker your lights on and off, drop shit off your shelves, call your name in the middle of the night. Jumbies are also known to cause more cataclysmic events, like they'll burn down your house, or they'll, sever the brake line in your car and send you down the road. I've been told growing up that if you don't come in before the street lights come on, the Jumbies just come out at night and they like to steal children. If you want to keep a Jumbie out of your house, you'll sprinkle rice or salt in the front of your door so it'll block them from crossing the threshold. And I've been told that if you wear your clothes inside out, you can stop a Jumbie from harassing you, so you turn your pants.
Now, as you can see, a lot of these creators and a lot of these people who come from the Caribbean and share their stories or experiences with folklore creatures, they always have some interesting way to get it away from you. Rice, salt, turning your pants inside out. That's a first. I've never heard that before. That definitely was a first for me. So I guess if you're coming across one of these folklore creatures, you better make sure to have some alcohol, some salt, and just turn your clothes inside out, because apparently that makes them confused. Confuse it and get the hell up out of there. Now, this next creator is going to get into a story about her experience with mermaids. Now, I've heard before that if you take something of a mermaid's, that you can be granted great luck, great fortune, and just good energy all around. But if that's something that mermaid did not want you to take, it can definitely cause total chaos and turmoil in your life. And this next creator is going to talk about a story about a kid who should have taken a mermaid's comb according to their parent.
I'm entering this mermaid conversation because growing up I was taught that mermaids were real, and I have a story to tell. Now, because I'm super hyped right now because I just got off the phone. I called a family member from Haiti who was known to have a lot of tales of mermaids. And so, y'all, it's wild. So, they're white, y'all, and then they're evil, and they kidnap people. That's the high level. Family member, and I remember hearing the story when I was a little kid about them going to the river in Haiti to get water for home, to cook or something, and literally that's what they just told me. And they saw a part human, part fish person sitting on a rock, skin has almost no pigmentation, combing their extremely long hair with a golden comb. And their parent got mad at them because they didn't try to steal the comb from the mermaid. I kid you not, this is the story. I have a lot of really interesting stories from Haiti simply because we're first generation Christian, and so that pre-Christian period with voodoo and all that jazz, it was spicy. It was scary. I like being a Christian. I'm just chilling Jesus. This family member saw the mer person. They startled each other. The mer person jumped up and jumped into the water and splashed, and this family member ran back to their home. Also, what was the other part of the story? Okay, also this person has a family member that was actually kidnapped by the mer people. So they often they kidnap people from the island and make them indentures in their world. And they were like, their world is like just another version of what we might consider reality. They're just demons. I got a whole, then the story went further left. I called this person up and they gave me more mer world tea, but I don't want to end up on that end of TikTok. So I think I might just end it here. But yo, mermaids, or the ones that eyewitnesses have seen tend to be white. But again, Disney's Little Mermaid is a fictitious world and a fictitious character, and it can be anything. So stop being racist. Thank you. Thank you for coming to my whimsical TED Talk.
I don't know about you guys, but unless the mermaid is offering it to me and it seems friendly, I'm not taking anything from it. I'm not trying to be your indentured servant. I'm not going to say the other word because I don't want to get demonetized, but I am not going to be your indentured servant, okay? I'm not going to be your indentured servant with no pay. You're not going to take me because I don't know if you're going to bring me back. Because again, not all of these sirens bring their subjects back. And if they do, they come back usually mute or with these crazy abilities. I mean, I'll take the abilities, but I want to be able to speak. Now that I think about it, the Little Mermaid probably did get that 1 point right with taking Ariel's voice. I don't know. I'm gonna have to do a little more research on that. I might have to make a separate video about the Little Mermaid and the spiritual nuggets that are in there and some of the things that they got right and some of the things they got wrong. Let me know if you want to see that in the comments for that movie or any other Disney movie, because I have a lot of other Disney movies that I want to break down spiritually. Let the kid know in the comments. Now, this next creator that's going to go over a few different Caribbean folklore creatures is a great creator, all right, by Books That Matter. She's someone that I've been following for a few months now, and she's definitely very educational, very informative. And I love her breakdown because she's almost like me. She helps to understand some of these characters and their true depiction and descriptions. Because unfortunately, as I stated in one of my other previous videos, especially in my Lovecraft Country video, when it comes to African spirituality, African deities, African culture, a lot of details and things get misconstrued or they just purposely misinform you. But again, this next creator is going to go over a few folklore characters in depth that are throughout the Caribbean.
3 figures in Caribbean folklore that you may not know because most of the mythology discourse on Book Talk is Eurocentric as fuck. First up, the Duppy. Now, Duppies are probably one of the most common figures in Caribbean folklore and, put simply, are spirits or ghosts. The idea of Duppy is said to have origins in Bantu culture, and they're shapeshifters, so they come in many shapes and forms. But let's talk about one of the most feared Duppies of them all, the rolling calf. Traditionally, rolling calves turn up in the form of a goat or a bull with red eyes and flaming nostrils. They're said to be a remnant of an evil or wicked person and usually haunt people like butchers, and murderers are said to return as rolling calves. They're monstrous and they're deadly and they wreak havoc on their victims, but can also be warded off by the full moon or by sticking an open knife into the ground. Next up, Mama de l'eau. Now, she's one of my favourite figures in Caribbean folklore. The name comes from Mama de l'eau, which loosely translates to Mother of Water in French. She is said to be both monstrous and beautiful, taking the form of half woman, half snake. She's the protector and healer of all river animals, and if you were caught polluting any of these natural resources, she would wrap you up in her tail and take you right to the bottom of the water. Not to be messed with, a queen. Now onto Anansi. So Anansi is originally a West African spider god, but is a universal figure in Caribbean folklore, sometimes considered to be the god of all knowledge of stories. Stories of Anansi tend to be passed down with these messages of overcoming defeat or being strategic or calculated when you're faced with difficulty. He has a rebellious and triumphant spirit, usually posing as a trickster that uses creativity and cunning to get what he wants. Those are just 3 figures, and there is so much more that you can get into within Caribbean myth and folklore, and something that I really love are retellings, and The Human Origins of Beatrice Porter and Other Essential Ghosts by Soraya Palmer, which comes out this year, is an incredible retelling and mixes folktale, myth, and coming of age. If you're a fan of Greek myth like Stone Blind or Silence of the Girls and all of that stuff, I'm sure you would love it. It charts the story of 2 Jamaican Trinidadian sisters in New York, and they're grappling with their family's past. It's haunting, queer, unpredictable, and just sounds incredible. And it's the book that we're going to be reading next month. And you can get a copy of this book and read along with us from our TikTok shop, and subscribe to our book box for a bunch of other treats for the ultimate reading experience. If you want to hear more about Caribbean myth and folklore, let us know. There can be a part 2. Part 2 of popular figures in Caribbean folklore. Similar to Duppies, the Dwen are said to be spirits of children who died before being baptized, thus fated to a life roaming the earth, unable to fulfill a journey to the afterlife. They are described as having backwards facing feet and no distinguishable facial features, and sometimes in stories wearing mushroom-shaped hats. They're little rascals, so they play juvenile pranks on people and can also be heard crying from other rooms. Folklore dictates that parents should never call their children's name out in public, because if a Dwen hears them, they'll call out the child's name, lure them into the forest, and then abandon them. La Diablesse, or La Diablesse, is said to have origins in Martinique. She's a half woman, half demon, and only comes out in the full moon. She's always wearing a large straw hat and a long maxi dress, which is said to cover her cloven hoof foot. She lures unsuspected men into the woods, and is always passed down with stories of men not trusting beautiful women with bad intentions, or to scare young people away from the woods. Papa Bois is known as the father of the forest, and he also goes by other names like Daddy Bouchon. He's a shapeshifter, so in stories he either appears as a deer, a man in ragged clothes, or even a tree itself. He's the protector of all forest animals and the nature, and he is said to lure hunters into the forest and then leave them lost. It is said that if you cross paths with Papa Bois, be very polite, and if he pauses to pass the time, remember not to look at his feet.
Now, the last 2 videos that we're going to go over are going to kind of be part 1 and part 2, if you will, but they are definitely directly related. One is the original creator talking, and the second is a stitch of the original creator with a second creator further explaining about the Trini folklore. And that folklore character would be the churile. Now, if I'm not pronouncing that right, please again correct me in the comments. This is one of those Trinidad and Tobago folklore characters that apparently is not very well known. And I definitely learned about it. I had to go to one of my Trini family members to ask about it. And she said, yes, this is definitely something that is known in the Caribbean, specifically in Trinidad. Now, this folklore character comes from a very sad story of a woman who was, and I'm going to choose my words carefully, of a woman who passed away during childbirth, but her baby survived. That is one version of the story, but apparently there are several versions of the story. The churile is definitely a Trini character that runs deep in folklore. But let's let these next two creators who explained it beautifully go over what a churile is.
Okay, so in Trinidad, there is an urban legend surrounding a pregnant woman. According to legend, she passed away during childbirth and she goes by the name of churile. It is said that she is in eternal grief due to the loss of her child and walks around late at night in a long white gown with unkempt long dark hair looking for her baby. However, some people have claimed saying that they have actually seen her holding a baby and that the baby is screaming due to the fact that she is unable to produce any milk for this baby. They say that the baby usually sounds like a cat in heat. A churile's main victim is a pregnant woman due to the fact that she is envious of a pregnant woman since she wasn't able to carry her baby to term. Another one of her victims are men who cheat on their pregnant wives. She absolutely hates them and she will come after them. And also, if a man is abusive towards his pregnant wife, a churile will show up and handle business. It can typically be found on a lonely road, usually near a silk cotton tree or near a woman, a pregnant woman that she is currently haunting. Some of the unfortunate people that have come across her do describe her as having grotesque features. They say she has backwards hands, backwards feet, her face is disfigured. But according to legend, never ever let your baby cry it out, because if you do, you run the risk of having her come to his aid. Okay, so in Trinidad, there is an urban legend surrounding a pregnant woman.
It's me, your local folklore auntie, and we are back with another Trini paranormal, Trini scary story, Trini folklore for you today. And I realized the video that I stitched it because many of you all were sending it to my DMs or tagging me and asking me, is this really a thing in Trinidad and Tobago? So I hear. Worry not, I here to give Ollie a more in-depth explanation as to what the creature that the woman was talking about really is. So before we start, I just want you all to know she is not wrong. Credits to the international spooky storyteller, because she did pick out one of the more lesser known folklores of Trinidad and Tobago. So stop coming for the comments saying you never hear that in your life, because now I'm going to educate all you on it, right? So we're good. So the pronunciation, from what I know in my community, because I am from South, and superstition still lives in rural areas or pockets of Trinidad and Tobago. It's known as a churile or a churile, and it is from the East Indian diaspora in Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana. So in Trinidad and Tobago, we have a lot of East Indian communities or East Indian dominated communities, right? And the churile or the churile, it's something that is seeped in East Indian folklore, East Indian urban legend, and it was something that was brought from the East Indian indentured laborers to Trinidad and Tobago and to Guyana. So basically, the churile is a woman who would have died during childbirth, or she would have died by suicide during childbirth. She is described as a woman with unkempt hair, very long, dirty, untidy hair, and in her hand she holds her unborn child. It is believed that she would let out a very melancholic scream if her child is crying for milk. So she sounds basically like what people know to be a banshee. So it's this really loud, shrieking, scary sound that she makes when her child is crying or her unborn child is crying in her hands. So it is said that a churile or a churile preys on pregnant women because she is very envious of the life that this woman is living. It is said that she tends to attack the pregnant woman, which would result in miscarriages. It is also believed that the churile, during her pregnancy, when she was a human, she would have been neglected or abused by her husband, and he would have also neglected her their children. And so it is believed that she haunts him when she becomes a churile. So the churile or the churile is also a superstition of folklore in Guyana. As you all know, Guyana also has a large population of East Indian individuals. And so the churile would have had its origins from their East Indian immigration during indentureship. The churile is believed to be a vampire-like creature originating from something called a bhoot, which is from Bengali culture. In Guyana, however, it is believed that the churile is a woman who died during childbirth, but her child survives, and in her spirit form, she lets out a screech because she is sad from being separated from her child. So the churile in Guyana is believed to resemble a human, except that her feet is turned backwards. So in Guyana folklore, or Guyanese folklore, it is believed that if you encounter a churile or a churile, you must cross a ravine or river, because it is believed that spirits cannot cross water paths, and also leave your shoes behind. It is said that the churile would spend most of the night trying to put the shoes back on. So yes, Trinidadians and all Caribbean folklore people, Trinidad and Tobago does have a folklore called the churile or the churile. The original poster of the video may have mispronounced it, so I assume that that's why a lot of people were kind of unsure, unaware of what the video was about. But it is lesser known. It is more so found in the East Indian community, and it's something that is still believed today, but not as much as long time.
Baby, this was just scratching the surface. We're definitely going to get into more. Let me know about the specific characters that you would like to know about, or the ones that maybe you know about in your family. Like I said, these are just some stories from a couple of other creators that either grew up in the Caribbean or have Caribbean ancestry that has been passed down to them, along with these stories and traditions. These are some interesting characters and topics, and I see that some of them definitely kind of intersect with American folklore, and that's part of the reason why I started with American folklore, because a lot of y'all recognize these characters from American folklore, but they just have different names throughout the diaspora, and that's what we're here for, to educate. But again, guys, I greatly appreciate you for tapping in. If you enjoyed this video, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and leave it down in the comments. Let me know how I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here so I can get ready to go ahead and post for my movie review of Tarot Part 2. You guys have been dragging me by my edges for it, and I know I said I was going to post it like 3 days ago, but again, I have been moving and it has been a very long process. So I greatly appreciate you guys for being here. Let me know what you guys want to see next in the comments, and I will make sure to produce that for you. I want to say a huge thank you to all of my viewers, all of my subscribers, all of the people who have come over to my Etsy shop to chat with me or to purchase any products or services with me. Again, a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart, because you guys are the reason why I'm here. Again, I started off with wanting to educate you guys way back in 2016 when I first got started, but I just couldn't find the motivation and decided to go with shorter bite-sized videos on TikTok. But you guys have migrated over here to YouTube with the kid, and I just want to say thank you for locking in. Like, you guys have really not only educated me, but just gave me that sense of community that I'm looking for. So again, I want to say thank you. To anyone that is looking to legitimately get in touch with me, please make sure that you do not get scammed by these scammers. Make sure that you are contacting me via my Etsy shop. If you are not talking to me via my Etsy shop or my business email that I'll leave right here in the video so you know for sure that it's me, otherwise you just got scammed by a scammer. Please block, report, and delete those accounts or emails that you get. Do not interact with these scammers, guys. Don't give them the energy, don't give them your money, and don't give them your time. So again, if you were looking for any products or services from me, make sure that you go over to my Etsy shop. And again, a huge thank you. But as always, make sure you drink your water, mind your business, and stay prayed up and protected. And as always, Luna loves you. See y'all on the next video.